when I try to explain what design and really my role and the role of the design team in PepsiCo is, usually the answer is that it's all about people. No, it's very bright and you don't see, but what it says, design in PepsiCo is all about people. First of all, the people we design and innovate for. So it's really about empathy. It's really about understanding deeply needs and wants and dreams and aspirations of people and the society today. Then it's about the people driving innovation. So what are the right processes and the mindset of us as designers inside the corporation, our design partners outside of the corporation, and then the R&D organization, the marketing organization, all the different functions that in a way or the other are working on innovation inside the company. Many big corporations are often criticized because they don't deliver so much innovation. And the reality, there are so many dynamics going on inside the organization that are the reason why it's so difficult to innovate when you work in the scale and complexity. And then finally, is about the people we meet in this journey. And it's really about the culture of these people, your mentor, supervisor, your CEOs, your product manager, a variety of different individuals that enable you or become roadblocks eventually to drive that kind of innovation inside the organization. So this is what we do every day in PepsiCo. It's about designing products, it's about designing brands, experiences, but also processes, mindsets, strategies, and culture to enable innovation to come to life. What is the business context? Very quickly, especially because we are in Italy and I think the reality of this company is not very known, is a $64 billion company based in New York, 300,000 people around the world, the second biggest food and beverage company in the world after Nestlé, with $66 billion, and the first one, the biggest in the United States and many other markets like China and Russia, for instance, just to name two. 22 brands have more than $1 billion value, with more than $23 billion for a brand like Pepsi, for instance, and 40 have more than $500 million value. So we have about 60 brands that have the value, each of them, bigger than many of the big corporations that, for instance, we have here in Italy and many other countries. So each of them. So it's a big reality. We have a huge penetration. These are data from the United States. 94% in snacks and 92% in beverage in the pantries of every household, every family in the United States. 3,000 products in portfolio. 1 billion times those products are consumed every day. And $300 million retail sales per day. Again, $300 million is often the size of a company, sales in year of many of the big brands we are familiar with. And then number one brand in snacks, number two in soft drinks, number one in iced tea, number one in juices, number one in sport drinks. So the point is scale, complexity, the pressure of the shareholders almost every day that we need to deal with and manage. Working in food and beverage, working in the world of retail and the world of restoration and food service, and then moving from entry-level, low-cost, price, good value products all the way to premium. So it's a very complex reality. A company like this that decided about 2 years ago to create a design function, hiring me, and then about 1 year ago, we created the first design center in New York. And as I was saying before, after that we've been opening design centers in Chicago, in Dallas, we are actually right now opening in Shanghai, Moscow, Dubai, Mexico City, and we grow from there. We have about 120 designers right now, about hiring around the world. So a company that decided to commit to design and to believe in design strongly. And so this is the map of some of the design centers we have around the world. Why? So why PepsiCo decided to do this now and not 10 years ago, not 5 years ago, not 20 years ago? Why today it makes sense? Well, the world is changing, and it's changing very rapidly. It's changing so much in the past few years with an acceleration never experienced before. There are few driving forces of this change: internet, the global market, social media, digital-enabled entrepreneurship, digitally enabled manufacturing, and 4 different generations colliding in the same society and in the same company and organizations. Let me explain you one by one. Internet is essentially creating what I like to define as augmented awareness, global accessibility to knowledge. Anybody knows anything about anything, real time. You don't know about something, you take this device, you Google any kind of information, and you get the information that you need. So this is changing the scenario of our consumer, our users. They are becoming more connected, they are savvy, they are spoiled sometimes, they are smarter. So it's very difficult, even if you want to trick them. They know everything about anything. You want to go to a restaurant, you want to know about the chef, you want to know about the retailer, you Google it, and right away, you know everything about anything. So it's very tough for corporations to have a dialogue and a connection with this kind of high level, highly experienced, highly connected consumers. The global market is creating what I like to define global accessibility to purchase. This has been creating a major crisis a few years ago in the traditional consumer electronics retail system. You will go, this is happening especially in the US, you go to Best Buy, you go to a media market, and you experience the products because you still want to touch them, you still want to have the service of people that tell you everything about the product, and then again, you take out this device and you buy the product at a more convenient price right away. The same in food. In New York City, we have a variety of different services. I almost don't go to the grocery store anymore. We have everything online. You can order everything online. You can go from premium to low cost very easily. There are different retailers. So essentially what is happening is that you go to a grocery store when you want to have specific kind of food or you want to really check the quality, you want to touch it. And then while you're still there, there are a variety of other products that in the past you would buy the retailer anyway, but right now you're like, no, you know, they don't have the brand that I love, they don't have the product I love. Again, you take out this and you order everything online while you are in the retailer, or even for just convenience and price. So again, this is changing completely competition. So in the past, you would design a product or a brand competing with other products and other brands in your channel. Today, there is no boundaries. You're competing with anybody, everybody, sometimes for sales, sometimes for relevance. We may do something in the US, and then there is somebody in Italy or in Japan or in Mexico that does something else, you know, something with a brand that is super, super cool, super meaningful, super relevant. It will never arrive in the US. It will never be commercialized in the US, but eventually everybody, blogger for instance, will talk about this, it will become very relevant. So it will make your brand less relevant in your own market, even if that specific product won't arrive. And this is again the role of the social media. Nicolas Negroponte, about 20 years ago in Digital Being, Essere Digitali, used to talk about this dream of having a digital assistant, somebody that could filter all the information that the World Wide Web you were inundated from. And actually, you know, social media, your selection, you know, that community that you pre-select yourself. In LinkedIn is your professional community. In Instagram or in Facebook or in Twitter, could be professional, could be private, but essentially you are selecting people that share with you the same goal, the same interest, the same aspiration and passions. So essentially they will filter information available in the net, in the world, that are relevant for you and that will amplify them for you. This is changing completely the way corporations and brands build their meaning. Corporation brings their brand. It's a two-way dialogue. It's not a top-down communication anymore. And it's not about you creating your internet site or you creating your Facebook page as a brand, you know, the Pepsi Facebook page or the Pepsi internet site, and pretending to talk with people. It's not about that. The reality is that you need to do things as a brand that are relevant for people so that people is going to talk about you. You need to transform your brand in a topic of conversation for people. And this is very difficult because it means that while in the past you were putting tons of money in that TV advertising, on that communication out of home, on your product eventually, today you need to invent things to activate the brand, so to do things that are relevant for people, so that people that are buzzworthy, that people want to talk about. And by the way, the speed of this is very high. It's not that you do one thing, you know, one TV ad and it goes on for 6 months. No, you need to do things eventually every day. And this implies, I don't want to bore you, but this implies a lot of things also from a governance standpoint. For a brand like Pepsi, a company like PepsiCo, how to manage all those conversations going on around the world that can get totally out of control. But that's another topic. Digital enablement entrepreneurship is something that is growing very rapidly in the US and in other regions around the world. I'm not sure about Italy, but essentially is internet site like Kickstarter.com, for instance. So you have a good idea, you post it online, and you get funding for your idea. A lot of products in the US are actually funded in that way by people, young people, any kind of people that put the idea online. Now it's a badge of pride, even. It's a badge of honor, funded by Kickstarter.com. So essentially, this is giving the possibility to anybody to come up with an idea and start to compete with companies like our company. And the difference is that they can be fast. They can go to market very fast. And often it's not, the threat for us as a big corporation is not even the single entrepreneur, but eventually is the summary of many of those entrepreneurs that get to market. They do things that the most of the time are really cool, but eventually they don't sell a penny, or sometimes they grow and they become very big. So there are, different kind of realities, but all of them race to creating relevance for our brand and push us to speed up the process of innovation and get to market faster. And design has a big role to speed up the process of innovation. So the competitive landscape is changing. We are not competing anymore just with our big other competitors, but we're competing also with people. We used to say people do innovation in a garage. Today you don't even need a garage. You can do it in your bedroom because you don't need to get your hands dirty because you can use the computer to get funding. And then eventually with digital enabled manufacturing, and essentially, especially 3D printing, the scenario will change even more. You will have the possibility to start producing from your bedroom and then eventually from other locations, but by yourself. And this is going to change dramatically the competitive scenario as well. I was talking here in Milan at the World Business Forum last year, and before me there was the former editor, chief editor of Wired magazine, and the guy gave a speech of 1 hour, fascinating, about 3D printing and how 3D printing has been changing his life. And in his opinion, 3D printing is going to be the next industrial revolution. And I tend to agree with him. So essentially, he was the head of the editor of Wired, and he left everything after, with his daughter, he started to produce a variety of different products using 3D printers. And step by step, it's a long story, but he put together a company creating little 3D printed drones that fly for the NASA. And that's his business today. So fascinating story, but from Amazon to a variety of different realities, 3D printing is something that is going to be very relevant in the future. And then finally, 4 Generations Colliding is also a beautiful book, and it's about 4 different generations, millennial, Gen X, baby boomers, and traditionalists, with completely different set of values, grown up in completely different kind of realities, colliding inside corporation and in the society. Essentially, what is happening there is the corporations are somehow confused. They're most of the time run by baby boomers, and they understand that anyway the biggest chunk of the market today, on top of the baby boomers, are the millennials, but they don't particularly understand them. The millennials are like, oh, these baby boomers, that are leading us, they don't understand us and the market, but they don't have the experience and the ability to really run those realities. And then the market is impossible to segment the market as we used to do in the past. Segmentation of consumer and target consumers is completely different. So it's very, very difficult to design for people because it's difficult to understand who are those people in front of you. Segmentation is changing completely. And then last but not least, this is happening as we speak. Many big companies are investing in this, is what somebody called Internet of Things. So essentially, the fact that every object will become smarter and smarter and smarter. For us in the packaged good world, it means that bottles will have smart labels, and your refrigerator will understand, for instance, when it's time for your bottles to be refilled or to buy new bottles. especially commodities like, I don't know, diapers or toilet paper, a variety of different products will talk with your house and will order themselves without you even bothering, to go buy them or even remember that you need to buy them. This is just one example, but essentially is products that will become smarter and smarter. Tables that will understand if there is a coffee or there is a Pepsi on the table and will keep it warm or cool it down, and so on and so forth. So it's about technology freeing up people. So essentially, you won't need to do many things that you are supposed to do today. You will have more time for you to dedicate to a variety of other things, and so it will change again how to fill the time of these people. What are they going to do? What kind of experiences they want to have when technology will free them up from a variety of tasks that they need to perform today. So again, people, expert, savvy, demanding, spoiled, difficult to categorize. They share 24/7 and they build on each other, emotion and knowledge. Before we're talking about the fact that it's not just about the information, the data, the knowledge, but it's probably mostly about the perception. So often it's not about doing the right thing, but it's also about how to communicate about that thing. It's not about just the performance of your product, the performance of your service, but it's also about what people say about the performance, the product, and the brand. And this is extremely important. They search solutions that are holistic. They search meaning and meaningful experiences, and they don't buy product anymore, but they buy the meaning and they buy that experience. So if they buy experience, what is an experience? Well, an experience is a solution, could be a product, a service, or a brand, in connection with people, in a context of purchase, of use, in time. So it's by definition a story. When you say to a designer, design me a bottle or design me a table, it's not about that bottle or that table, but it's really about the full connection, experience of people in a space, in time, with that specific solution. It can be translated in what I like to call the practical journey. From the idea of purchasing something, then you purchase it, you receive it, you unpack it, you use it, you store it, and you dismiss it. If you think about a restaurant or retail or any space, a car is about the idea of buying it, you see it, you enter, you discover, you interact inside the space, you live in time in the space, and then you live from the space. Now, we have here Stefano, and I think what you did with Alessi, for instance, in the 80s is fantastic. In a market where, when you think about the product, an object is really about, it used to be really about the usability, how to use the product, really focusing on that specific characteristic. Products like the one you have in your portfolio have been changing really that kind of dynamic, focusing on the fact that you wanted to create product, on the storage phase, if you want. You wanted to create products that people could share, that could become topic of conversation, that you wouldn't want to put inside a cabinet. You want to show them to others. So focusing on the storage, understanding that it was really about the right, perfect balance for that specific consumer. And by the way, we're not a traditional Alessi consumer, but new consumer, the younger generation, so creating a completely new market, creating the perfect balance between emotion and rationality, understanding that you can have trade-off as far as you achieve a specific dream, goal, and aspiration. There was more focus on the storage phase and the sharing of that experience and the product with others. And so this is not just about fun stuff. This has been creating a very impressive business for the company in those years. For us in PepsiCo, is about purchasing something in a restaurant. You go and buy something in a restaurant. You go and buy something on retail. You go buy something online, and then it's about using, storing, dismissing those products at home, or using them, eating them, consuming them in restaurant. And then the idea phase is very important. So what is the behavior of the brand that make that experience cool and relevant across every touch point? And I will give you tons of examples about this, about what we're doing there in PepsiCo right now. Experiences, we want to design the meaning of that experience. It's not just about the experience, but what that experience means for you. No matter what that product, the brand is, could be a luxury brand, a luxury car, mass market product. There are always two levels of communication and dialogue happening between product, brands, services, and people. The first one is you and the product. So it's that personal pleasure and reassurance and satisfaction that you have when you interact with a specific brand or a specific product. The second one is what the product or the brand is telling about you to others. So every time, the shoes you wear, the car you drive, the tattoo you have, anything you have is telling a story to others. When people, marketers, the business organization, our organization ask us, what do you really mean with designing experience and designing the meaning of products? Well, it's really about designing that dialogue between the person and the product or the brand that they buy, and what the product and brand is telling about the person to the rest of the world. When you wear a watch without hands or numbers, or when you wear a Louis Vuitton bag, or when you, whatever you wear or drive, or the look of your office, or the cut of your hairs, anything around us is an act of communication. It's telling a story about us to others. As designers, we design the flow of communication of people with the rest of the society. So how to design the meaningful experience? What are the steps that we always take in consideration when we design that experience in any kind of situation? I have some of my former colleagues here in 3M, they saw this probably 20 billion times, because these apply to any kind of marketing situation. It's what I call the emotional flow. Are 3 steps, are theories that they come directly from the theories of Donald Norman in emotional design. Essentially, the first step is when you see a beautiful woman or a beautiful man or a beautiful landscape, you're like, wow, it's the butterfly in your stomach, it's on your skin, it's beyond rationality. You're impressed by something you see, and this is the first impact. It's about grabbing the guts with relevant, engaging, and appealing touch points. Anything, the product, the communication, the service, digital, anything that you do. It's about creating something that, for instance, this is a brand of water with flavors that is very trendy in the United States. That we created for actually not even millennials, very, very young teens. Has been doing very, very well. It's the first impact, is beyond rationality. This is a product that we just launched in Latin America. In many parts of the world, there is this trend of taking a bottle with you, and then you fill it with water or other things. In this case, following the trend of mass customization, this is a bottle, and then you have pods with flavors, and so you can refill the bottle. Think about the sustainability also of this proposition, and then you can add all the flavors that you want to that pod. And we are testing it right now in Latin America. This has been a huge business success. It's a collaboration between our food division and then the Taco Bell, the food service channel in the United States, is combining the idea of Doritos and the product Doritos with the taco, creating this Taco Bell Dorito-based shell that has been extremely successful in the US. Or this is an example of co-creation with consumers. Entering a food company has been very interesting for me to see how the taste value, the taste culture changed so much around the world. So I don't know how a cappuccino chip will work in Italy. But this is essentially a competition, so it's a form of competition, but essentially we're asking consumers to co-create with us. The winner one is going to win $1 million, so it's not chips. And this is already, the first edition was in the United States, and this is a global edition. And these are the 4 finalists right now, and then consumers, not us, these are already in the market. Consumer will choose the winner, and the winner will get $1 million in few weeks. But then, those are products, we go all the way to the communication and how to communicate about brands in a completely different way. Even when you partner, for instance, with celebrities, that is a very tough challenge for designers, because you want to have something that is cool, sophisticated. In the meantime, you want to leverage the name of that celebrity. This is what we did with Beyonce. I will show you much more about Pepsi later, but just to say, it's not just about products. So this is the visual one. You see something and it gets you, beyond rationality. Then there is a second step that is what I call the interactive relation. So essentially, the metaphor, the example of this woman and this man that you like, when you go out with them and you like to spend time with them. You are in vacation and you love to stay in that specific location, sunbathing, while all your colleagues are back in Milan with the rain. is emotional and rational satisfaction. Is, you know, that experience that is relevant, engaging in words both from an emotional and rational standpoint. Is a different way of dispensing, for instance, Mountain Dew or any soda drink. This is a project we did, a very good group of consumer electronics, where the door of the refrigerator is essentially a transparent LCD screen, and we can deliver any kind of movie information about the product or advertising or anything you want. So creating a different level of interaction in the store with your product is about thinking about, like, a brand like Gatorade, and thinking that Gatorade is not just about drinking during the performance, but there is a moment of preparation before the performance, what we call the priming your body. Then there is the performance, and then there is the recovery after the performance. Thinking about Gatorade, what could be Gatorade if it was not a drink? Can Gatorade, for instance, be something that you eat? And this is a product we launched a few months ago in the United States. For instance, if you want to have the convenience of putting something in your pocket and you don't want to take your drink with you, it does exactly what. And this is the primer. Or what I show you before for the bottle, Drinkfinity, we apply the same kind of process to the Gatorade brand, and these are not just flavors this time, but they are integrator. And here I have a video that can tell you much more about what we did. But this is a partnership with the Brazilian soccer team.
When Gatorade partnered with one
I
of
would
the
have done
football clubs, the Brazilian national team, elite athlete service was elevated to an entirely new level. The Brazilian team opened the door, granting Gatorade scientists unprecedented access.
Together with the CBF team, we developed research on heat stress and dehydration to see how the body responds during exercise.
Each player received his own personalized bottle and customized product formulation through the introduction of the Drinkfinity pods and the hydration tracking system.
Hoje, vários jogadores, quando vão para a seleção brasileira, cada leva seus kits.
The player just comes with this pod that contains his specific formula, plugs it in, shake it, mix with water, and he's ready to go. This is the technology we are using. This bottle has a microchip in it that sends information in real time to the coach.
Gatorade added further support by providing the Brazilian team with their own fuel bar to access sports nutrition products, education, and insights. The partnership with the Brazilian national team represents a big step, but it's just the first step as elite athlete service grows on a global scale. Gatorade will expand the roster, working with more teams in a variety of sports. Emerging technology platforms will be leveraged as never before. Sports fuel personalization is the present and future vision. Improved athletic performance will always be the ultimate goal.
This is an example of applying that kind of approach, applying design to a brand like Gatorade, going beyond the beverage, but really thinking about the full service. So emotional and rational interaction. The third level is what I call the expressive relation. So you love so much this woman or this man that you talk to everybody about their opinion. You're back from your vacation and you share the pictures of your vacation with everybody, the culture of Facebook and Instagram. You love so much that brand, that product, you become the brand ambassador, that you talk about the brand and the product with pride. This is an example. Apple has been like this now for many years, and just one out of many others. And so when we look at brand, any brand, we really need to think about how to create a level of interaction that is so relevant that people want to talk about it with everybody. And it goes from more traditional communication all the way to think about new ways of engaging people. This is, for instance, what we did with Doritos for the Super Bowl. We had a series of challenges in a candid camera, so people wouldn't know that they were interacting with actors. But we were forcing people to do things extreme, very, very extreme in a variety of different ways. And then the one that were doing it would win a ticket for the Super Bowl. Then we dressed them with these orange jackets, and we bought tickets for them all together to create the typical shape of a Doritos in the crowd that you can see up there. But again, how to engage in cool, relevant way, unexpected way with the brand, so then people can become your ambassadors and can talk about what that brand stands for them. This is an installation that is a permanent installation, 3 years installation outside of the Giant Stadium in New York, and we had the possibility, we had the space, and we had the possibility to promote Tostitos and Pepsi. And the idea was of the marketing team at the very beginning was, oh, let's create gigantic Tostitos bags and chips, seats with the shape of a Tostito chips. What we decided to do, actually in collaboration with the Design Group Italia here, and then with a technology company based in Germany, is to create 2 different screens. And actually, this is not the best picture I could have chosen, but the screens are here on the back. And you control them with your body. So essentially, we put people in front of the screens, 2 groups of people, and you can control the screens that can go up and down. You can control the content of the screen. In this case, we had a football player running in the field, and so you had this group of people that, with their body, they were moving the football player and competing with each other. And this is really about the equity of Tostitos. It's about getting together and doing things together and have fun together. So it's an activation where the Tostitos brand is just up there, that's all. It's not about chips, it's not about, the product, it's more about what the brand stands for. Or this is something we are doing in collaboration with a variety of charity associations. Is essentially a solar cart to refrigerate your products. And essentially, there are 2 ways of using it. One is in places where there is no electricity, creating the job opportunities. Think about Africa, India, a variety of different locations where people can now sell refrigerated drinks using this solar energy. And then obviously the other use is concert and a variety of different venues where there is not electricity, but you still want to have cold drinks. And all the way to just the more traditional product. This is a brand of premium water that we launched at the Grammys and the Oscar last year, and then will be commercialized in few months, first in the United States. But again, every time you have these 3 levels of interaction, visceral, interactive, and expressive, from a business standpoint, the visceral is emotional impulse and purchase. You go with a list of things to buy in a store, and you get out of the store with things that are not in your list at all. The interactive one is emotional satisfaction and loyalty. So people in love with your brand no matter what. People in line to get an iPad outside of an Apple store even before they ever saw that product. Is that emotional loyalty? Expressive is communication and spontaneous PR, word of mouth. People becoming ambassadors of your brand. This is about purchase, repurchase, and recommend if you talk to marketers, or is about wow, engagement, and pride if you talk with designers or you talk with psychologists. But they all go together to create value for your organization and your business. And this needs to happen across every touch point of the brand. And this is really what is the challenge for a company like PepsiCo. They work in essentially every market of the planet, with the exclusion of a couple. And so how to create an experience that is seamless, is consistent, is authentic across every touch point and across every country of the world. This is really a challenge. This is something that we use usually, that I use a lot to explain what is to design an holistic experience. So essentially, if you go from the bottom of the pyramid, the bottom is the utilitarian needs, is functionality, reliability, usability of the product. So we're talking about food design, is the composition of the food, is, if you think about a brand like Pepsi, for instance, the competitor is another cola brand. It's about the carbonation, it's about the level of sugar, the calories. It's really product driven. You go up and you have the world of convenience and pleasure. So rationality and emotionality. Now we talk this is what we call demand spaces. Now we start to talk about the experience. It's the product in a space, in time, in interaction with people. If you start to think Pepsi, we're not competing anymore just with another cola brand. We start to compete with energy drinks. We start to compete with beer, wine, drinks. How to make colas and Pepsi relevant in locations where today cola and Pepsi are not consumed. So this is a challenge that goes much beyond the product itself. And then finally, you go up there. It's the world of dreams, aspiration, meaning in the society. Is what I call the brand space. And in the case of Pepsi, now you don't compete anymore, even with other beverage brands. Eventually, you compete with Nike, Apple, Samsung, Red Bull. You start to compete for relevance in the society. And very few brands can get up there. But it should be the goal of every brand to try to push what they do up as much as possible. If you think about now retail design or restaurant design, it's the same thing. The bottom is the best selection. You want to have the best ever product selection in your restaurant, in your retail, and you want to design them or cook them or prepare them in the best possible way. You go up is about the best experience in the space. Obviously, the interior design of the space, the architecture of the space, but also what happens from when you are outside to when you get in. You remember that practical journey I was describing before. That's the world of the practical journey. And then if you go up, it's about how you build the brand of that restaurant, of the retail in the most meaningful way for people. If you think about Italy, for instance, that is a phenomenal case. The 5th most visited place, for instance, in New York after the Statue of Liberty, the MoMA, the Empire State Building, and another one that I never remember, Italy. So what happened there? Essentially, there are 4 things that happened. Very simple, but then very few brands did before. You buy products. This is the utilitarian needs. That's why you need the right selection of products, because you want to buy the right products. You buy culture. So you buy books or tools to prepare those products, to understand how to prepare those products in the best way. That's the demand space. Then you experience the product, because you have a variety of different areas where you can buy the food and experience it in location. So you can shop while you drink a glass of wine. That's the demand space again. And finally, you experience culture. So events, laboratories, a variety of things that you can do in location. And that's the demand space again. All together, they build the brand space. Italy is cool. Italy today, at least in the US, because I know that market very well, but I think also beyond the US, is a cool concept. And this is given by a variety of different things combined together. Or I was last week in Dubai with Wolfgang Puck opening his newest restaurant, The Cat in Dubai. Wolfgang is an amazing example, of design-driven innovation applied to yourself. The bottom, the utilitarian needs, were again the best product selection. The products he was cooking back then when he was still a nobody. They went up, and it was really about the design of the space, the experience in the space, and then all the way up to become a brand itself. Wolfgang Puck today is a brand. Now, what is the magic that happens when you go up there? When you go up there, then you can totally, now you don't see, it's too bright, but essentially these pyramids get larger, and you can go back down, and now your core product can be stretched. Wolfgang Puck can design pottery, can design soup, can design oven, any kind of thing you want. So essentially, he elevated himself by the quality. You always start here. You need quality here at the bottom of your core. Then you elevate it and you create an experience around it. And then when you do it, you elevate it and you create a brand. And when you create a brand, then you can stretch the brand in other categories in magic ways. Apple is an example as well, starting with computers, going up the pyramid, and then stretching it in other categories that we know very well. You always start, therefore, with what is the cause, the purpose of the brand? What is the dream, the aspiration? What do you stand for? So many companies are so blurred, so undecisive about what they really stand for. And this is extremely important. Moving from products to demand space to what you stand for, what your brand means, help you transcend the product itself and start to do things that are relevant for people no matter what you sell. It could be a car, it could be something else. Nike is, for instance, phenomenal in doing this. The fact that Nike recently launched the full band, so wearable technology, a device that tells you about your body, your performance, is totally obvious. I mean, it's okay. Nike is not a footwear brand or athletic gear brand. Nike can be a brand that is all about your performance, because that's what they've been doing for many, many years. Monster Cable, it was all about the quality of the audio. When they partnered with Dr. Dre, and they came up with the Beats brand, and they got 85% of market share in headphones. Was expected. I mean, it's the quality of the brand that you can stretch to other product categories. And again, this was expected from Apple as well. When you have very clear the purpose of your brand, you can do magic things. And there is a test I usually do to check the purpose of brands and what they're doing. For instance, if you Google "just do it," you don't Google Nike. You just Google "just do it," you see a sea of Nike brands. If you Google "think different," there is no Apple at all. You see a sea of Apple brands. If you go, and for us, for Pepsi, this is a very recent kind of approach. We decided to really crystallize, focus on a proposition, on standing for something. It is Live for Now. If you Google Live for Now, is a sea of Pepsi brand. And this is, and again, for us, it's really the beginning of a journey. But we've been doing a variety of things in the past couple of years to try to crystallize the proposition. The idea of Live for Now, Carpe Diem, Catch the Moment. From the more basic packaging design, so revising all the brand identity of the Pepsi brand across every touch point, with more endless kind of design, and then some limited edition collaboration with a variety of different realities. Working on the product itself, we just launched a few weeks ago in the United States Pepsi True, that is a product with less calories and getting rid of the high fructose corn syrup. And then there are a variety of different products and research ongoing, as you can imagine. Working on the way we deliver the product. These are old vending or font, and in the US there is, in many countries around the world actually, with the exception of Southern Europe, you get a cup and then you get a drink by yourself. You don't get served. So we have been working on that, and we have been creating in 1 year, totally design driven, a full portfolio of digitally enabled devices. Essentially, this is one of them, has a screen of the size of an iPad. The bigger one has screens that go up to 40 inches. And you have full mixology, so you can start with a base. It could be a Pepsi or sparkling water or a tea or root beer, anything you want. And then you can add a variety of different flavors and customize completely the drink on the base of your taste. We get all the information real time on what people is consuming, and this is becoming also the base for our R&D. So we're going to launch products in retail on the base of the information we're getting from this, and we have the ability to communicate with people. We're working on a variety of different softwares and devices that will enable people to connect with this machine in a very seamless and intuitive way. And this is a short video that will tell you more about this.
We set out to create a refreshing new destination for beverages, bringing them to life in a way that's never been experienced before. Our revolutionary touchscreen fountain puts you in control, giving you exactly what you want, when you want it. Quickly create your personal mix with the brands and flavors you love. It's as simple as pick, mix, and pour. From software to hardware, we've designed every aspect to enhance our users' enjoyment. From the ergonomic angle of the screen to the precision and cleanliness of the form. Our fountain is connected to a smart network, allowing us to update in real time. And the payoff is bringing the intuitive digital experience directly to your cup. From interface to base, the fountain's details all reinforce the fun of beverages. Experience a whole new world of innovative, customized beverages.
I wish I could show you other things we're working on, but this is the very beginning. And the same, we're thinking about the home as well. We just announced last week the partnership with SodaStream. Again, this is the first step, but we've been working for a long time now with them, thinking about how to customize your drink inside with the SodaStream machine. Again, the first step in the field. We strongly believe that mass customization of drinks, giving us the power as consumers or users to customize our drinks is gonna have a very important role in the future. And then, we go from the more traditional touch points of a brand all the way to more unusual one. This is something we did in China. It's a pop-up store for Pepsi connected to the world of music. So we open it in connection with the equivalent of The Voice in China, having the most important music star in China, but also celebrating one physical aspect of the drink, that is the refreshment and the cold. So this place, that there is a short video, is about refreshment and cold. It's very interesting to work with the Chinese aesthetic. It's been a very interesting challenge. By the way, it's done with Italian design, with design group Italian collaboration as well. Also, within 2 weeks, it's been a super fast project, and then going with 13 different cities in China within 2 weeks.
激情百花盛开，有些闹这不是一个需要等待的年代。你想看到美好的未来，就看你的现在。握住你的色彩，跟着我的表情，告诉世界，我从不会失败。我的脚步，若你有梦想。 冲击起来！现在爱谁？谁管谁在不在？
The physical refreshment as well, obviously, not just that.
是主宰梦想，才让心跳存在，才能烛光在，跟着这个节奏，稳定双手，为我的追求。
Design and this is one of the number one pop stars. Or, you know, that's China, this is Super Bowl. This is one of the events we invest the most resources. This is Bruno Mars at the press conference this year. Halftime show is the Pepsi halftime show. We are the unique sponsor of the show, so we work closely with NFL to work the full experience during the year. This is the permanent gate of the Giant Stadium in New York, where Super Bowl was last year. So the celebration of the brand, creating this gigantic sculpture of Pepsi bottle, all the way to collaboration with the celebrities. This is Beyoncé the year before in New Orleans, and then Bruno Mars. Our presence in places like Times Square, hospitality. We built this giant dome in Bryant Park, where essentially there were a series of activation of the brands, from concerts to performance of artists, in fashion, in acting and Broadway, and then in the world of sport and music, in connection with the brand. The Pepsi Cola sign designed by the famous artist Daniel Harsham. So a connection of culture, art, design, around the idea of sport, because Pepsi is not Gatorade. It's not about the brand, you know, connected to sport by performance. It's about culture, the culture of the fan. And so we've been creating these kind of experiences, artists that will paint real time together with rappers performing. And then in the stadium, we've been giving hats. This was the first ever scenography created by human beings. So we gave hats to everybody, the hundreds of thousands of people in the stadium, asking them to wear that hat. We control that with the central software. And when the halftime show was about to begin, we activated this, essentially human beings created a Pepsi brand around the stadium. I'm gonna show you a video that was recorded with my iPhone. I was there for Italian Lost in New York with 3 friends, with Lorenzo Giovanotti, with Marco Mattiacci, the head of Formula One Ferrari, and with Antonio Versace. So people that saw any kind of things in their life, I guess. And the reason why I'm showing you this video is to show you the emotion like kids. We are like kids in front of this. And this was an amazing satisfaction for us as designers to have been able to build such an emotion. That was the video. To see that. Goes on. But to have a stage like this, to play with your brand for a designer is pretty exciting. And then to see the reaction of people. And by the way, it's really the connection of creativity, new technology. Nobody ever did something like this with human beings using LED controlled by software. Halftime show there are millions and millions of dollars invested in those few minutes, so you cannot screw up with technology. You cannot experiment there. So it was pretty exciting. All the way to experimenting in the world of fashion, for instance. This is the campaign we did during the summer of soccer, taking our soccer players, Messi is one of them, taking Danny Clinch, the famous celebrity music and design photographer in London, and creating a performance in London where we took street artists from all the different locations of the soccer players to paint over the photography during the performance. And then we used that for our campaign. Now, the graphic was so cool, people liked it so much, that we decided to then partner with Bloomingdale's in the US for 150 point of sales, and then Colette here in Paris, in Europe, to create a full collection of clothing with a variety of different brands, from Penguin to Bang & Olufsen. And Bang & Olufsen had it during the Soccer World Cup in the windows of all the stores in the planet. Shot skateboards, shoes, the shoes I'm wearing today, for instance, with Del Toro, all the way to collaboration with Vogue. I just come from Dubai. We've been working with Vogue and Franca Sozzani and 10 young designers from all around the world to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the magazine and create a collection inspired by Pepsi. The only brief that we gave the designer was, think about the idea of Pepsi as a live for now brand, carpe diem, enjoy the moment, and use 3 colors, red, blue, and white. And then product category, anything, do whatever you want. We put somebody in my team and then somebody in the Vogue team to art direct them. And we got back a variety of different interpretations of our brand and our products and our colors. Have been really exciting, showcased to a variety of different interesting people. These are Anna Winter and Franca Sozzani here in Milan a few weeks ago during the pre-launch, and then we're last week in Dubai for the big event. But the same, this is Shanghai Fashion Week 3 weeks ago, in our collaboration with Narciso Rodriguez and supporting his cause with Bottle Top and so on and so forth. So this is the approach that you see in Pepsi, but we're having in every brand, to the brand itself today, so the activation today. And then obviously, this is an area that where I cannot share too much because of confidentiality issues, but design is innovation. So the big part of the work we're doing is thinking about what's the future of the food and beverage category, these brands. And so I cannot share too much. I can share at least some of the topic. For instance, what is the future of water beyond the bottle of water? Accessibility to water around the world. What is the future of energy and energy drinks? What is the future of sport drinks beyond the beverage? Wearable devices that can help you monitoring what your body needs and then customize what you need. Product mass customization. Any single person and any retailer want to have a customized proposition. How can we customize that? Stretching your brand beyond your core. Retail 2.0. The connection between physical retail and digital retail, and so on and so forth. So for instance, I'm going to show you a couple of things. What is the future of this device? It's just another device with more technology, or it could be a completely different archetype. Could that be a table where you have a touch screen, you select your drink, then you put the glass in the middle and you fill the glass from the bottom? These are all technology, by the way, are totally available today, including the refilling from the bottom. So you don't need a device, a dispenser anymore. Your table is going to dispense and customize whatever you want. Or maybe in the relatively near future, we may decide at work that we want to we want to create a specific food sculpture. We're going to buy the ingredients in the form of capsule. You go home and you have your machine They can customize your drinks and your food. You have all the recipes coming from the chef, from your blogger. You can customize them. And while you are preparing yourself for your dinner, your machine is cooking, some things for you. So this could be one of the scenarios, but for sure the idea of customization at home, of food and beverage is going to be there. So what is going to be the role of our company, of chefs or retailers in this global future scenario? Or what's the future of Gatorade beyond the drink? And this is a video that tells you what we think about Gatorade.
The future. It's not an inheritance, it's an opportunity. For Gatorade, the opportunity is clear. Push the sports fuel ecosystem further to support the athlete of tomorrow. In the future, NFL players wear sweat patches, sending real-time fuel data and hydration tracking to team trainers through sideline carts. Access to technology goes well beyond the lab. Athletes instantly receive specific feedback, no matter where they work out. G-Camps dive deeper through on-field testing, measuring hydration, glycogen, and electrolyte levels. Wearable technology transmitting wirelessly allows trainers to analyze data and provide direct feedback. Knowing their specific sweat rate and type of sweat, athletes choose their formula using the Gatorade fuel pods and the intelligent hydration bottle. Before training, athletes receive alerts detailing the intensity, weather conditions, and duration of the upcoming practice. They're also provided with a strategy for fueling before, during, and after workouts. During training, the hydration tracking system instantly tells athlete and trainer about fuel input and output. To replenish their supply, athletes get their Gatorade fuel pods from intelligent vending machines. Monthly supplies of Gatorade fuel can be ordered online or through premium retail doors. From awareness to tracking to delivery, every aspect of the sports fuel ecosystem will be connected. Every step in the process will be seamless. After 50 years of fueling athletes, the best is still yet to come. Gatorade, defining the future of sports fuel.
And this is real close future. We are experimenting all of this right now, and some of the products are already in the market. So to do all of this, what do we need? To go back to that pyramid that we're talking about, the skill set of people earlier. Well, you need product designers, packaging designers, experience designers, interior designers, architecture and digital designers, brand experience designers, and then design strategists and design innovation people working all together to create that vision for your products, your portfolios, your brand in the future. And this is something that almost doesn't exist in any company, because at least you have three silos: the product industrial design silos, you have the brand and packaging design silos, and then sometimes you have the design innovation, design strategy. And most of the time, design doesn't even have a role in the world. So what we're trying to do in PepsiCo is to combine all of the three worlds under one mission, one vision, one goal. What are the challenges of this? Very quickly. The first one is how to manage risk. Many multinational corporations are often criticized that they don't produce enough innovation. Well, there is, every time you change, any minor detail in a brand with billions and billions and billions of activation every month, there is a huge risk implied. And so the role of design organization and design in general is also the one of creating confidence in the organization that that risk is worth and makes sense and is not as big as it may seem. So when you say, when we have design organization in-house that work with external designers, many are here today, of the designers we work with, our role is also to build that confidence so that we enable our partners to help us to go to market with the right solution. So we need to build inside the organization a culture that doesn't punish risk and mistakes. The CEO of 3M for many, many years used to say, this is from 1948, management that is destructively critical when mistakes are made kills initiative. And it's essential that we have many people with initiative if we are to continue to grow. Fast Company wrote an article about what we are doing at PepsiCo. This is Indra Nooyi, the CEO of PepsiCo. And the reason why I'm showing you this article is that out of an interview of 3 hours plus lunch, so we spent 4 or 5 hours together with the journalist, with the editor of Innovation and Design of Fast Company. This editor has been interviewing so many CEOs around the world and so many people in corporation. She decided to highlight one point. It's important to have a culture that doesn't punish you. So a culture that rewards risk, that doesn't punish you if you try to innovate and risk. This sounds eventually in the Italian scenario a little bit weird, but the reality is that in big corporation, gosh, you know, every risk has an impact so high that a lot of people end up not risking. You know, we're human beings. You may impact the education of your kids, the vacation you take, the compensation you have. You may, you know, in some corporation you may lose your job. So it's so important to be cultures inside the organization to protect innovators from the risk that they take. There needs to be smart risk, but we want to take those kind of risks. And by the way, this is Fast Company. In the US, the business magazine have been doing so much for design, talking about design stories to our business counterparts. The reason why companies like PepsiCo are investing, or Procter & Gamble, or the Coca-Cola company, a variety of different companies are investing heavily in design is also because the executives, the marketing executives have been reading business magazine talking about the successes of the companies driving design. And so it would be fantastic if also in other parts of the world this would be the case. And by the way, you don't need to go to the CEO of PepsiCo, the CEO of 3M to hear about this. This is Woody Allen. If you're not failing now and again, it's a sign you're not doing anything very innovative. So what is the role of design in this? For me, it was very important to share this with you because this is a way that each of us could position design inside corporation when we talk with our business counterparts. Because we say design, immediately they think beautiful products, you know, a beautiful dish. The reality is that you as designers do so much more. What you do is, first of all, it's all about empathy, understanding people, prototyping in the process. The value of the prototype is key, and strategizing around this. So what we do as designers, we have the ability of transforming an idea in something that people can touch in the organization. A prototype, a sketch, a video, whatever it is, something that people can touch. What is the value of a prototype? Whatever is the quality. Well, essentially, you create alignment inside the organization. It's the power of visualization. Everybody agree around the same idea, no matter where they are located, in different regions of the world, even after days. Often you have a meeting one day, and then the day after everybody forget or is disaligned around that same idea. The second is the power of the shiny object. So many times I've been in front of executives of big corporations with ideas. Everybody agree in the room around the idea, and then you step out and nothing happens. You do the same meeting, and this time you take a prototype that you did. Everybody get excited. You know, like kids, they start to touch it like, okay, we need to make it happen. We need to take it to market as soon as possible. You unlock enthusiasm, and you unlock, mostly, more importantly, money, resources. So this is very important. The power of prototyping to create progressive iteration. We live in a society where there is not one star, one man show, the designer doing things, or just the R&D person doing things. You need teamwork. And so by designing something, we take all the other functions inside the process. We are the connector and the facilitators of all the other functions. That's the way I'm positioning design in PepsiCo. We connect R&D, marketing, consumer insights, manufacturing around one idea. When I say, for instance, a knife, everybody has a different idea of a knife now in your mind. But if I design a knife, now everybody's aligned around the knife. And you may criticize that the blade is not sharp enough, you from R&D. You from marketing could tell me that the brand is not visible enough. Consumer insight could tell me that the handle is not the right one for the consumer. Perfect. So I'm leveraging the know-how of all the different disciplines. Now I start to tweak that design. And so this is an iteration that, by the way, you can expand that also with consumers and experts outside of your company, that essentially elevate the excellence of the product, speed up the process to go to market, and decrease the chances of failure in the market. And therefore, at the end, what does it increase? Increase the confidence in the organization to take risks. If you need to position design, this is magic. This is how I've been building design in 3M, in PepsiCo. Position design as a process, a mindset to speed up the process, elevate the quality of the output, and decrease the risk of failure inside the organization. And then obviously you have a beautiful product at the end, but it's just an output of something you're doing in-house. The second challenge or opportunity, well, we talked during the press conference about this, so for lack of time I will skip it, but it's essentially connecting the more European, Italian approach to design, more visceral, to the more American one that is more strategic, business-oriented, very industrial. And the last but not least is we need to grow the right talents. This chart could be a full presentation by itself. It's a paper that I wrote for the Design Management Institute, but we need designers and design thinkers that are synthetic and adaptive. They understand the vision and then they go back and step by step they can rebuild with an analytical approach all the steps to that vision. They are elegant in the process as well as in the output. Elegance is really about the simplest solution to a problem, and it's the perfect balance of all the different elements to satisfy a user or consumer. They're polyglot and storyteller, and this is about culture, the ability to talk the language of marketing, the language of technology, the language of human insights. We are one of the very few professionals in the business world that can talk all the different languages and connect, therefore, all the different areas of the organizations. Intuitive, follow your guts, follow your instinct. This is so important. So many times, process kill intuition inside big organizations. Dialectical, the ability of being part of that dialogue with a variety of different functions. This is where we strive. This is not an area of uncomfort. Corporations tend to put you in a specific bucket. We are outside and we translate different cultures and we connect all of them. And finally, what I mean within love means that when you try to satisfy somebody, in corporation you often hear the word customer satisfaction. You try to do everything is possible to fulfill a specific need. And often you succeed. But when you love somebody, it could be your mom, your dad, your kids, you try to do more. It's the magic, it's unexpected, it's something that surprised them. This is what designers want to do. When Stefano, you've been creating all those products for less in the past few years, I mean, you were there surprising them, in love with the people you are designing for. This is what Steve Jobs, the same, this is what designers are driven for. And they don't give up. At the beginning of the process, everybody eventually is aligned around the vision. When you give up, it's at the end, for manufacturing reasons, time to market, cost of the good. That's where designers need to be resilient and go all the way to the market. What is the behavior? They need to be curious, read, travel. They need to love diversity, listen with humility. So many times I saw so many creative people so arrogant. But then be confident and take decisions, because confidence and decision is at the base of innovation. Be resilient, because if you're doing something different, the reality is going to push back. You will find roadblocks everywhere. So resilience is key. And also optimism is extremely important. And be always hungry, always in quest. Go always the extra mile. Be aware of what you're doing, self-conscious. And finally, smile and have fun, because it's a big game and we're part of it. Why we're sponsoring this master and why Design in Italy? Well, Design in Italy for the past 10 years has been about brilliant designers, visionary entrepreneur that would enable the designer to get to market. And then this third variable has been often forgotten. Local manufacturing, the artisan. I don't know if you saw, for instance, the movie about Valentino and these amazing tailors that make the dreams of Valentino come true. The artisan in Florence working the leather, manufacturing people working with a variety of different designers on mold to make things that look impossible, but they become reality. Innovation is really at the edge between the physical and the unphysical. Now, what is happening in the current social scenario is the manufacturing is moving more and more abroad. You know, China and a variety of different regions around the world. So there are two scenarios for Italy, I think, in the coming future. One is, let's keep investing in this artisan, in IP, in technology, manufacturing, in excellence. There are a variety of different companies that have been doing this and are doing things amazing. Often we don't know about them, but they are here and they're vendor and supplier of technology from all around the world. And then we have the example, obviously, in fashion, for instance. The other one is keep investing on the Italian cultural brand. And this is what we were talking about before. a cultural brand, Italy made of design and fashion, art and history, geography and tourism, food quality and culinary art. In this master, we are mixing food and design, and then we are leveraging the rest of the tradition. We need to keep doing system around all these different variables because are really an asset that is amazing for this country. And if we're able to leverage it, we can have really an amazing additional value. And by the way, I know there are many non-Italians here. The beauty of Milan, this is not about Italian designers. I mean, Marti is not Italian, for instance, here. This is about the Italian cultural context. It's about the Piazza of Milan that is connecting designers from all around the world, around the way of thinking and loving people and loving what we do that is unique, a way of designing that is unique. And this is the magic of Milan, and this is why we've been investing in this initiative with you, Antonello, and the Scuola Politecnica. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this interesting lesson. And do you have any questions? Many questions, I know. I must admit I'm a little bit worried and afraid of big companies like Pepsi, you know. And I wonder how a young designer can be creative and can be taken in consideration inside a company that makes 300 billions per day. And another question was, I see your company is going to enter the Italian market with different products like Lay's, for example, and also this master, for example. So it's like a strategy to enter the Italian market because I understand that for PepsiCo, the Italian market is quite difficult because we have a lot of food historical, so it's a bit difficult.
For the second question, I'm going to have the managing director of PepsiCo Italy answer that is there. So if you can pass him the mic, show Marcello, show yourself. For the first one, we love to work with any kind of designer, from the big established one all the way to young students, young creatives. That's why we're investing in this master. For instance, we will identify talents to work with. It's tough to. One of the problems is often we don't know how to get to them, and they don't know how to get to us. I'm actually, the school is one gate. We're also working, we just hired, starting November 19, a recruiter that is going to work on my team that is really focused on establishing this relation also with, and especially with younger talents. So this is something important for us. And then another thing to keep in mind, I've been talking a lot about the big brands, but we have a variety of smaller brands, very niche, like Easy, well, that probably you don't know here, but most of them are focused in the US market, Naked Juice. And we are also working on things that I cannot share too much, but on a way to get to market faster with a variety of different experimentations and new brands. Actually, there are a few things that we did already in the past few months. So we'll have a portfolio that goes from smaller, we already have a portfolio that goes from smaller brands to gigantic one, and partners that go from the big established designers to the young and creative. Marcello, you want to answer to the... We've been in Italy for a while now. It's not that we are entering now, right?
Regarding to your second question, we in Italy, PepsiCo established the market unit only in 1995, so relatively recently, and we started the business with the beverage over the last 20 years, basically. We decided now it was the right moment to enter with the food, with Lay's, and we just started in February, March, as we believe it's a business opportunity, even if the market is not one of the biggest in Europe and worldwide for snacks, because we have a lot of different alternatives in Italy, as you might know. But we thought now it was the right moment to build this brand, and we are going to invest in this. And yeah, of course, it's a journey. We just started. Results are good, And the idea is to build also a strong food business over the next few years.
And for us as a design organization, it's also a creative lab. So more and more we want to use Italy to experiment.
Yeah.
The partnership with the Scuola Politecnica, the partnership with Franca Sozzani and Vogue are just the beginning. We just start, but there will be much more. We want to use Milan as a creative lab for the rest of the world as well. That's a transparent one.
Thank you very much. I'm impressed by your speech. I really enjoyed it. It is actually a more technical question. I arrived a bit late, and when I arrived, you were talking about experience and consumer experience. So my question, since my field of work is consumer experience, I'm actually working in the UK on the topic for retail and consumer experience. My question is how a company like Pepsi, which is an example, an international example of a big brand, incorporates consumer experience with design and with marketing. This is a big, is a huge question mark, but we are talking about consumer experience lately. It's very fashionable, and I'm just...
I see that you really understand the challenge we have, because that's a perfect question. It's not easy.
Thank you.
It's not easy because when you know, it's funny because in 3M I had the opposite problem, was how to integrate design and R&D. So the reality is, when you have a specific asset in an organization that is very established, is very successful also, and then you enter with a new culture, a new approach, it's very tough to integrate this new culture inside the tissue of the organization. So at 3M, the biggest problems we had, Monica, you are the witness of this, was at the beginning with R&D. Then things changed. R&D understood that it was a win-win situation. Actually, we could help each other. In PepsiCo is happening the same thing. Marketing's been doing, many of these things that I share with you today in the past. And we don't want to arrive as designers and do everything by ourselves, because the reality is that there is a specific marketing, business, financial background that we don't want to have, we don't want to have. When we're talking about should design drive complete innovations, like no way, because there is a part that is completely financial, business, high-level strategy driven, that is not really the field that we own. And so the keyword that I usually use, that is a keyword that very few people understand or want to understand. They understand, but they don't want to understand, is this idea of co-leadership. Now, why is it so difficult? Because in corporation, every single function, every single person needs to be accountable to deliver something. Because else they don't know how to measure your success and your ROI, your return on investment. So what is design doing? What is the return on investment of design? I'm spending X million dollars in design. What is the return? And here I am saying, no, we need to co-lead, we facilitate, we connect everybody. And you can imagine how tough is this conversation. And so you need the support of the CEO to protect you, because else you go nowhere. And then you need to identify what I call the co-conspirators inside the organization that can partner with you and show what it means to co-lead with marketing. Find young and hungry, the most of the time, managers. They want to do things differently. They have the passion and the strength to do things differently. Partner with them, build best practices, and then the company will understand what that thing is and what is the value. When they understand the value, then you have an HR problem and a financial problem of, okay, now how do we measure that value? But that's a nice problem to have. So this idea of co-leadership and working with marketing is key. Another thing is that more and more, market is investing in design. So you have many masters, MBAs, that are investing on this thing called design around the world. And then more and more, design is investing in business. You heard business design masters. And so the reality is that two worlds are starting to merge. But again, as far as you have people that are collaborating, are able to work together, then you can be extremely successful. It's really about dialogue, collaboration, co-leadership, and then bringing to the table different kind of expertise. Again, marketing and design, but also R&D, manufacturing, logistics, a variety of different disciplines. But you touch a point that is very delicate for almost any corporation today. Stefano, no difficult question.
No, tu hai mostrato due esempi che sono forse gli esempi più eclatanti di comunicazione negli Stati Uniti, la Apple da un lato e la Nike dall'altro. E mi interesserebbe capire dal tuo punto di vista come vedi questi due approcci, perché io penso che siano molto diversi, cioè il modo in cui la Apple riesce a rispondere all'immaginario del pubblico, ai desideri del pubblico, lo trovo molto diverso invece dal bisogno quasi indotto e molto bombardato dal punto di vista del mainstream e della pubblicità che invece, sul quale invece si muove la Nike. Ora, senz'altro tu hai questi due modelli importanti con cui ti stai confrontando e capisco che per un prodotto come la Pepsi il modello Nike è un modello più vicino e più facile. Capisco anche che dalle tue intenzioni, dal tuo discorso con la moda, eccetera, che dall'altro lato vorresti essere più vicino al mondo della Apple. Mi piacerebbe capire come stai vivendo questo discorso.
Hai perfettamente ragione, sono due esempi complementari, per questo che li ho messi, ho scelto quei due. Apple secondo me è un caso quasi irripetibile nelle grandi multinazionali, perché essenzialmente prima di costruire quel modello Steve Jobs ha perso il posto e poi l'ha richiamato perché comunque Steve Jobs era il fondatore dell'azienda, non possiamo dimenticarcelo. Quindi una volta ritornato ha avuto la possibilità di fare essenzialmente quello che voleva, gli hanno dato fiducia, ha avuto la fortuna legata al suo talento poi di avere dei prodotti che hanno avuto successo commerciale e lì a quel punto poteva fare veramente quello che voleva. Io spesso cito Apple come un'azienda italiana che per caso è nata in California, perché è un po' il modello della media impresa italiana che ho descritto prima, imprenditore illuminato, designer. In questo caso Steve copriva praticamente tutti e due i ruoli, con tutto il rispetto per Johnny Ive, e poi il manufacturing, che tra l'altro è un modello interessantissimo perché mentre le grandi imprese della tecnologia hanno sempre pensato che dovessi investire in tecnologia e manufacturing in-house, Apple sta facendo leva sulla tecnologia di altre grandi aziende, altri marchi. Quindi è un modello già interessante. L'innovazione di Apple è sul sistema e non è sulla tecnologia. Per una consumer electronic company è incredibile. Però hai bisogno di un padre padrone, uno Steve Jobs, non solo di uno che abbia la volontà di fare Steve Jobs, ma con la credibilità che lui si era riuscito a costruire. Perché il problema delle piccole e medie imprese italiane è come fare scale up, è come passare da una piccola e media impresa ad una multinazionale preservando quel sistema. Quello che succede nelle multinazionali è che prendi quello che accade nella testa di un genio come Gismondi, Alessi, nominane uno, Olivetti, e poi devi tradurli in processi e organizzazione. È lì che ti perdi. È lì che entra il discorso del rischio, la consumer research, bla bla bla. Nike secondo me è un modello interessante perché è più vicino, come tu dicevi, al modello delle multinazionali ed è comunque riuscito perlomeno a preservare questa idea di una vera chiara proposition per il brand che poi che viene eseguita attraverso tutta una serie di touch point in modo sofisticato. Samsung secondo me sta facendo bene anche in quel modo, hanno tantissime opportunità di crescita così come Nike, ma sono due modelli interessanti. È chiaro che ha perso 60% Samsung. Allora, Stefano, se mi inizi, questa è la finanza in multinazionali. Tu sei lì a cercare di crescere l'azienda verso il futuro e oggi abbiamo perso il 30%, domani... Sì. La consumer electronic, ma poi guarda cosa è successo a aziende come Nokia, è incredibile, quel mercato è veramente difficilissimo nell'arco di pochi anni. Vediamo cosa accadrà ad Apple nei prossimi anni anche loro. Non so se ti ho risposto in completo, ma poi dopo possiamo...
Bene, possiamo continuare più tardi perché abbiamo un cocktail per tutti voi. Io ti ringrazio per questa magnifica, non solo lezione, per questi stimoli che tu hai dato al mondo della formazione e della didattica, ma anche al mondo imprenditoriale italiano. Credo che questo master inizi sotto i migliori auspici, perché avete visto chi saranno i docenti coinvolti, soprattutto ci sarà anche la sua supervisione per la parte poi di project work e strategica dei progetti che verranno svolti. Bene, non ho preparato un cocktail in una sala con i marmi, ho preparato il cocktail in un laboratorio, molto, come si dice in gergo, mi senti sgrauso, perché voglio che viviate questa esperienza di una scuola di design. A fianco vedrete anche persone che lavorano Clay perché stanno preparando dei modelli che hanno una presentazione per Volkswagen. Ne vedrete di tutti i colori, preferisco che sia così, così anche voi vivrete questa esperienza di stare in una scuola di design. Grazie e arrivederci, a presto.